Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Planet Zoo. So today we're going to be doing the hippo enclosure. As you can see here, I'm just basically making like a big ass hole so we could do a pond and have our little underground pathway so that they could look into the water as the hippos are swimming. This enclosure, I will say, I did have some issues with. For one, I mean, still now, half the enclosure just isn't being used properly. The hippos just, it says that it's non-traversable, which makes no sense to me. So I'm doing the initial barrier. I did end up changing this and having to redo the barrier in a few places because the enclosure was way too small. The hippos need a lot of space. They need a lot of land and a lot of water. They need equal amounts of both. And they just need a shit ton. It's like 216,000 square feet. So, like, that's excessive, right? That's a lot. But so clearing space for water, and then I'm smoothing out the edges like I usually do so that they can actually get in and out of the water. Again, I had to redo this enclosure multiple times. This took me about 2.5 hours. Which is rough for what it is. That it took a long time. But yeah, so we have like our basic like enclosure down, so we're putting them in. And this is where things get fucking difficult. I kid you not, I had the most head-pounding headache from this. I kid you not, my head was throbbing trying to get this enclosure to work properly. So, obviously right there you saw, clearly not enough space. So I'm like, okay, we'll extend the enclosure out a little bit, and we'll extend the water out quite a bit, okay? You know, me thinking that's okay, so if it's about half of each, if I basically double the enclosure and the water, I should be fine. Not the case. Doubling it didn't do shit, because half the enclosure is, to this day, not traversable for some reason. I don't know why. So yeah, making the water bigger, which ends up taking up most of the enclosure. But it's like, what can I do? It says that they need a shit ton of water, so I'm making a shit ton of room for water. Again, hit play. It calculates. Boom. Still not even close to enough. I'm like, okay, we'll make it even bigger. So I'm just thinking, contemplating. This enclosure layout isn't what I wanted it to be, but I will explain the way I laid it out when we go take a closer look at the enclosure, and I can actually kind of show you somewhat of what I'm thinking. Because I did have to change where the main path was going and everything. The entire enclosure is not the way I thought it was going to be shaped, and it's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So I'll have to explain myself better when we go take a look at it after we're done building it. But so I'm like, okay, we'll make the water huge. We'll make the tunnel pretty big. So that's what we're doing. I'm making it mostly water because they need water the most, you know? Well, not the most, but they need a shit ton of water. So, again, smoothing the edges so that they can get in and out, making sure it's traversable so that it says that they can use it. Otherwise, it'll just stay at whatever it is now for the amount of space they have. So I'm making sure they can get in and out of the water and making sure they can get on the land on the other side. All of that, okay? Still not enough. Still. Which is great. The enclosure does stay this shape though, at least on the front ends for the tunnel, so I don't expand that anymore. But yeah, look at that. We still don't have enough water. We have nowhere near enough land. So I'm like, okay, maybe if I make the water deeper, that will work. They can't even go in this part of the water. It's non-traversable. I don't know why. I smoothed it out, and it's traversable now, I think, if I remember correctly, but it was non-traversable this whole time while I was building this. So that was fun. But see, there's even less water space now after I did that. Because now they can't get to that entire side of the enclosure. Isn't that fantastic? That entire side of the enclosure they can't get to. They still can't get to the land over there. I don't know why. But It is what it is. So I'm like, okay, I'll just smooth some shit out. If I smooth everything out, then maybe the water and the land will fix itself. Doesn't fix shit. Just, dude, I kid you not, absolute fucking head-pounding headache from this. So I'm like, okay, I'll do a ramp everywhere because I could see how this is a bit too aggressive of a incline for them to be able to climb over. So I'm like, okay, we'll add ramps everywhere. I add ramp to that deep part I made just so that they could swim down there. And I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, it's still not traversable at this point. Even after I smoothed all that out, I added ramps. Look at that. Big chunk of it, non-traversable still. Don't know why. But I do fix it here in a second. But I'm like, okay, just thinking in my head, just trying to figure it out. I delete the water, and I just smooth the fuck out of everything. And that seems to work in parts of it, at least. I'm like, okay, maybe the island's glitching it. Maybe the island is just not working, you know? So I get rid of the island. Put the water back. It's still fucked. I mean, there's a little bit more, but they still can't go the whole way. I'm like, okay, maybe it's these little chunks in the air floating around that's being stupid, so I smooth it out and get rid of the chunks. And then I just smooth the whole bottom of the floor. I'm just smoothing everything, thinking it's okay, it's just too rough. And then I'm like, oh, okay, let me connect the land over there so they could just walk all the way around. They still can't walk all the way around for some reason. I don't know why. So I'm just smoothing it out, just trying to figure it out. Smoothed it out. It helps with the land a little bit after it like catches up. And then I'm like, okay, so right now you'll see a cut. Oh yeah, I just flattened those so that it looks better. But you'll see a cut right now. I closed the game thinking it was just like a glitch and reopened it. Still fucked. Yeah, I mean it helped a little bit, I think. We'll see right now when it does the cut. I think it helped a little bit, but I'm not sure. So see right here's the cut. And then again, I'm just smoothing everything out. I'm like, okay. So I expand the enclosure further back so that there's a little bit more land room. And that does make them somewhat happy. But I'm like, oh my god. So I'm like, okay, let's at least get a start over here, get this going. I'm like, whatever. So I move the main path to go all the way around. That way that way you can still see them from most angles. And then I just do my basic pathway down there. And then we finish that up in a little bit. But doing the basic pathway, just stairs down, stairs up on the other side. Just a basic ass pathway. I don't care how close it is to the glass or anything like that, as long as they can see. Which they can. So I do that though. I have a little bit of issues with stairs because it's just the way the game is. Stairs are difficult sometimes, you know? This part also... So I'm adding in all the rocks now to make the tunnel. This part, when I was doing it, I was like, okay, this is fine. I'm just going to lay a bunch of the same rock down, and then I'll add texture to it, you know? Just so that everything's covered, you know? So I was like, I'll just do the same rock, and then I'll go and add texture so it doesn't look like the same rock. Dude, I kid you not, after doing this, I was so stressed out thinking I was going to have to redo it because I couldn't make it look right for a second. I ended up being happy with the finished product, but after doing this, dude, I was stressing because I thought I was going to have to delete all these rocks and redo the whole tunnel, but after adding texture and stuff, I think it came out pretty good. But I was so worried about it after I like started actually putting other rocks together. But I think it ended up coming out pretty good. It's not my best work, I don't think. Well, actually, in terms of rock, it probably is my best work. I haven't used rock too much in this game. But, so I'm doing just like a general like layout for the tunnel. So I'm just doing a simple layout. I didn't check if it was traversable for people, which I definitely should have. I don't think the rocks are too short though, so I think they should be fine. I tried to make sure it was tall, so I think they'll be fine. We'll have to check that right now when we load in though. I completely forgot to even check that. But yeah, so again, adding a fuck ton of the same rock everywhere. Again, this is stressing me out the whole time I'm doing this. Because once it's finished like this, I'm like, oh, fuck. But, yeah, so the same rock everywhere, just literally just trying to get a general layout so I can kind of just add to it. So I'm like, alright, that's good. Let's start adding other rocks to it. So I start adding these little rocks, first of all. And then I'm like, okay, let's make the thing go out a little bit more. And then I'm adding... So I add this rock to the top, which does help a lot. I just add this flat rock the whole way around the top, which does solve my issue with the top looking pretty bad. And then I add a couple of these big rocks to the front and just around, which it's starting to form, you know, it's starting to look somewhat natural and not fucked, which is good. But again, just adding this fucking flat rock across the whole roof of the tunnel, which it's making it better, you know, it's making a difference as I'm building it. So I'm like, I'm noticing the difference, I'm happy with the difference. So just as I'm making, I'm like, okay, it's forming, it's starting to take shape, it's starting to look better. Because like from a distance, you're like, oh, that's not too bad. I mean, obviously the sides are rough, but the top is looking a little bit better, okay? So now I start adding to the sides. And this is where I'm like, I can't really make it look right. This is where I start having issues. I'm like, oh. But then, as you'll see, it does end up looking good. But I was so scared because I was like, I'm adding all these rocks everywhere and it still doesn't look right. I'm like so scared. And then I start spamming the same rock in one spot over and over again, just trying to cover up the fucking cracks, and then I just make more cracks that don't look right because it's the same rock right next to each other 4 times. But I'm just trying to hide the seams. That's it. You know, I just want to hide the seams. And then I'm like, what's a good way to hide this whole fucking wall? I added a pond with a little waterfall in front of it. It hid the wall for the most part. Like, you don't notice the wall as much anymore. But yeah, I still go through and I'm still adding rocks and stuff, but yeah, so just picking a rock, adding it in a couple places, switching rocks, adding those in a couple places, things like that, just trying to fill this in the best I can and have it look at least somewhat natural. Obviously, it's not going to look natural because it is a man-made tunnel at the end of the day. But so again, I don't know what I was doing with the top here. I was trying to give it texture. It doesn't look great on the top after adding those little rocks, but I just kind of left it. Because I was more worried about the side at the time. And then I'm adding this rock because it's a little flatter and there's not as many sharp edges, so it looks a little better to have on the edge than the other rock. And then I just cover up those other edges with different rocks. But yeah, just covering up seams, adding different rocks where I can to just make things look a little natural. And then I do go and hide like all the glass pillars, so it kind of looks like the rocks are holding up the whole tunnel itself. You'll see what I mean in a second. But so I'm just making a little pond here, just to kind of pull the attention away from the wall. Because the wall's fucked. The tunnel's fucked, okay? But, and then I add this the whole way along the top, on the inside and the outside, just to give it like a nice little, like border for the top of the glass. I think it looks pretty good having that little border on the inside and the outside. The outside, it does look a little goofy in some spots because the border is so far in compared to the rock above it. But on the outside, it looks so weird because it's in, if that's what I didn't say. On the inside, it looks pretty good, though, because it's just like a nice border on the top. But then I'm adding these rocks to the pillars, so it looks a little more natural, I guess, and it looks like the rocks are holding up the tunnel, like I was saying. And it also just covers up those pillars, and it kind of covers up some of the other issues I was having with cracks and shit. But yeah, so just filling it in, making it look good. I'm pretty happy with the way the tunnel came out, like I said. It could have been way worse. You could still obviously see the cracks and stuff in places. I'm adding more rocks still because, it's just not perfected yet, at least to the state I want it to be. So adding a couple rocks here and there. Just trying to cover up the seams the best I can. And just kind of just going with the flow, hoping for the best. Again, I think it did come out good. It was just a long process. I think it was about 45 minutes of just placing rock or something. So that was fun. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm just adding the border on the inside as well, just to make it a little cleaner on the top there, because there's a lot of stuff going on with the different cracks and the different rock and shit. So doing this little border just makes the top look a little bit cleaner. It's nothing crazy, but I had to make the inside look good too. So I add big rocks on the other side of the wall and stuff. Try to cover up the gaps under the stairs a little bit. But yeah. I don't know. It was my first time building a tunnel like this. Next time I probably will just use like the flatter rocks everywhere, and then add texture that way. Because the flat rocks, you can hide the seams entirely as long as you have like half the rock in the other one. So it's a slower process, but there won't be as many like fucking seams everywhere. So it'll look a lot cleaner when I add like texture to it. But right here, I'm just trying to fill in the grass as much as I can. Just adding rocks to give the wall a different texture everywhere. And yeah, just making it look the best I can, really. Which, again, I think it did come out good. We'll take a closer look at everything. But yeah, just filling in gaps and shit. Just doing my thing. And then I'll show you the waterfall too in a second when we do the enrichment, because it's just the ones we put with the flamingos. I didn't want to build like an actual waterfall. I definitely could have, because it would have covered that wall a lot better, that mountain, but it was fine. Again, just filling in cracks anytime I see them or that I don't like. But I think most of it came out good, and I was like, oh, need a water treatment, so I add that, put in a workstation, yada yada. Usual stuff there. And then we're going to do the enrichment and the plants and stuff like that, and the terrain. So I do go paint the inside of the tunnel right now with rock, so it looks a little better. But just adding enrichment, I did go with a standard like hard shelter just because I didn't feel like building one after doing that tunnel. I was kind of like annoyed, and I had a headache from building it, so I kind of just left it alone. I ended up having to delete this African one and using one of the bigger like brick ones because it just wasn't enough space. It was at like 38%, so I added another one in and it brought it up to like 80, so I was like, that's cool, whatever. But yeah, so these are the waterfalls I'm talking about. I just added 2 of them just to just distract you from that fucking tunnel. So, but yeah, see, it's at 35%. I was like, okay, this brick one's bigger, so I just started down the brick one and it puts it up to like 80, I think. But yeah, I might go back and like do like a rock one, but I don't know. They do look cleaner just to have the pre-built ones anyway half the time. Especially because if I build one, it just doesn't fucking work, so. But yeah. Now I'm just painting the terrain to get it in line with what they want so they're happy. They need a lot of rock. A lot more rock than I thought they needed. And then I add rock down here just so it kind of makes the tunnel all like blend together somewhat. Looks pretty good. And then I just go add some plants. Yeah, I just throw in whatever plants they need. They don't really need too many plants, and they don't really have too many plants in terms of like options. So I add a couple trees, a couple bushes, yada yada. Same old bullshit. Yeah, they didn't really need any plants, you know. So I was just like, all right, well, it's gonna be one of those kind of plain enclosures, but it is what it is. Oh shit! You know what? I wonder if they could have a fish feeder. We're gonna have to check that too right now. I think they can. I'm pretty sure they can have a fish feeder, so we'll have to check that out too real quick. But yeah, so just cleaning up a little bit with the plants, adding our lilies because they make any body of water look better. Or not lilies, sorry, lotus pads. I don't know why I said lilies. Well, because they are lily pads, right? Those are just lotus pads instead of lily pads. Adding our education, TVs, speakers, same old stuff we always add. Just putting a couple down here in the tunnel, couple on both sides of the glass up top by the pathway. And then we do our benches and our trashes and lights and all that. So these speakers and TVs on this side don't work right now. I'm leaving them like that until I put the plaza in, because the plaza is going to be like right across from this, basically. So I think the transformer for the plaza should hit them, based off of what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen with the plaza. Just the general layout and where it's going to go. So I think the transformer should hit it. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the enclosure and just talk about what's next for Planet Zoo. And also check out some other stuff for the hippos real quick. So yeah, let's go into it. Alright, and this is how it ended up looking. As you can see, I mean, the pillars, the whole thing right here looks pretty good, the whole tunnel. Hippos are relatively happy. I mean, it is what it is, man. I'm not going to worry too much about it. As long as they're at a decent enough welfare, they should be fine. Again, does suck that most... Oh my god, what? Oh, okay. I was like, dude, come on. Oh, see, and then it calculated and it's fixed. Cool. It fixed itself. That's dope. So now they have more than enough space. We're chilling. You guys can fuck off now. I did want to check, though, if we go to their enrichment and then go over to food, they don't get a fish feeder. That's interesting, actually. I assume that they would. That's interesting. And then also, is this... So, staff, they can traverse where they need to traverse. That's good. I'm assuming... Oh, you know what? I didn't even check if water... Okay, it's barely hitting. That's good. I think people can go down here. Yeah, they for sure can. But, I mean, as you can see, it looks pretty good down here, I'd say. I probably should have made the pathway a little wider. But, I mean, I think it looks pretty good. You know, and then they can see into all the water, so whenever the hippos are down there, they could see them. And then you got your little viewing area on both sides, so they can see everything, you know? I think the zoo's really coming together. I don't really see people walk this too much. I wonder if it's just too long of a walk, and they all just stop at the plaza and don't go this way. I don't see them walk on this side that much. I see them just go down here. It's probably because there's more animals, you know? But yeah, I think the enclosure, or the zoo's looking pretty good. I'm very happy with everything. I do want to do like a hippo sign somewhere over here, I think. I'm not positive just yet. But I'm thinking of doing a hippo sign somewhere. But, as you can see, that's what those look like when they're running. Which looks pretty good. It hides a lot of that fucking wall, which is nice. I mean, it looks pretty good. I don't hate the way the enclosure came out. It's just not what I envisioned in my head. It's a lot bigger than I envisioned, which ended up being fine because I think the tunnel does work in this shape. It's just definitely a larger scale than I expected it to be, which is alright. If the animal needs it, the animal needs it, you know? So, like I was talking about the plaza, because of this shape, the plaza is going to have to get moved, obviously. So the plaza, I'm thinking, is going to go straight off this corner. It's just going to go right here. Boom. It's going to go about... Actually, the plaza, I mean, is basically going to be butt up with this pathway. It's going to go straight out. It's going to be the main entrance to the plaza. There'll be a little bit on this side, but most of the plaza is going to be on this side. And that's the general idea for now. We're not going to do the plaza, though, next episode. Next episode, we are going to be doing the... What was I going to do? Chimpanzees, bonobos, and gorillas. If we can. Because they all might be conversation credits. Fuck off. Whatever the fuck. Oh, look at that. It's albino. Oh, dude, I got the hiccups. I feel like bonobos would probably be the cheapest to do first. So let's see if there's any of those. Because they'll definitely be the cheapest to do. Nothing? Did I spell the name wrong? Bonobo. I didn't spell the name wrong. Oh, the store broke. It's at -1. It did what it did last time. Give it a second to load. It did this last time and I had to just wait like 30 seconds and it fixed itself. That does not seem to be the case today. It does it every now and again where the filters just break the game. I'll clear the filter. It's not letting me clear the filter. Okay, there we go. We'll go until we get to Bonobo, I guess, to see if there's any. It just did that thing again where it fucking breaks. It did this before. I don't remember with what. What the fuck? Why does the Arctic fox look like that? Blue morph. Brown fluffy fur coat. That's cool as fuck. But we're not looking for Arctic foxes. We're looking for fucking bonobos. Or chimpanzees. We'll look for both of those. The gorillas... I'm sure we'll be able to find gorillas. They're just going to be expensive. But I'm assuming bonobos are the only ones out of them. I passed bonobo, actually. I'm fucking retarded. So I don't think there is any. For one. Yeah, there is none. Okay. So, which is fine. We could do an orangutan with the tapirs. Because I think I did say I was going to put that over here actually first. The bonobos would go by the African side. Let's see if there's chimpanzees. But I might just do that orangutan. Because I only need one orangutan, I'm pretty sure. So. I passed chimpanzee too. I'm just not fucking paying attention. I'm just scrolling through until I see a different letter, I guess. Chimp. CH. Oh, you know what? I guess they don't have it, because it went straight to common ostriches and shit, I don't know. Yeah, they don't have it, though. Okay. So, I guess we'll do the orangutan. What the fuck? What was its name? It started with a B, didn't it? The orangutan? Yeah. Borneo orangutan. So they just have this one female. She's 21 years old. When do they die? 44? She should have most of her life left. I could do that, actually. 1 to 6? I could do that, because then I could get a different male or a different female later, and I could get a male later. So I'll do that so that we have her. I'm sure there'll be another one by then, but by the time I build it, but that's alright. So, her enclosure, let me think. So we're gonna do We're gonna do bonobo here. They should take up like that much space. We'll do chimpanzee right here. We'll do gorilla right here. So yeah, the orangutan enclosure is gonna go right here across from the lemurs. And then right here is gonna be like a primate area, or like primate kingdom or some shit. And then this way you'll see the lemurs, which I don't think count as primates, but still. You'll see the lemurs, then you'll see the orangutans, then you keep going, boom, gorillas. Keep going, boom, chimpanzees. Keep going, bonobos. I think that'll work. And that'll be a nice way to fill in this gap a little bit. Because I can't really do anything here. I might do like a small enclosure right here or something, but I can't do much right there. And then we'll build the plaza. I'll make sure to keep a side of it open so I can do a loop. I'm going to do just a big ass loop, and then we got that whole loop we need to fill in, you know? But that's the general idea for right now. And then I probably will have a path going this way so we can fill in the back half of this. I think. I don't know. I'm kind of just throwing shit out there and seeing if it works. So far, we've gotten lucky. But yeah, so that's the general idea for right now. Next, we'll do chimpanzees with the tapir, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, we're going to do it with the tapir. Which I think in turn can also be one. Like, I think I can do the little monkeys and not get in trouble with this guy. But I'm not sure. I think you can do that. Because, like, I have stuff in the American enclosure that don't go together. But they go with other ones in the enclosure. So, I think I could... Well, I don't know. I don't want this enclosure to get overwhelming. I don't know. I need to make a new staff area, too, over here. I need to make a staff area, actually, for this enclosure. So that'll probably be part of that orangutan video, because I'll probably put it right up behind it. Yeah, that's definitely what I'll do. But, yeah, so it'll probably be the tapir with the orangutan and maybe the monkey. I highly doubt it, but I won't rule it out. Oh shit, you know what? The Japanese monkey should go over here too, since it's a primate section. I don't know. I'll probably leave it, because I have plans for the Japanese monkey over here with the panda for the plaza. So I think I'll leave it for now, actually. Because I have a plan for this plaza over here already. This plaza I'm kind of pulling out of my ass just because I want to get this little section done. But I mean, we got 4 or 5 episodes of fucking primates before we get to the plaza anyway. But yeah, so next episode we'll do the orangutan tapir. And go from there. I mean, I don't know how I gotta make them different, be different from each other. I just don't know how I'm gonna do that yet. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Planet Zoo. We got the hippos done. I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, next episode we'll do the orangutans. So if you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys want to see on the channel in the future. And I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Stay safe out there, and peace out, guys.